You did in fact read the title of this video right. We have ICP coming in with almost more 7-day transactions. That number is higher than their market cap. Pretty wild stuff. I mean, especially when you look at some of what we've been seeing out of competitors in crypto, it's almost not even close. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, do just some kind of quick comparisons. We're also going to be going over to kind of the source data where we found this, also just be looking at some price. And then we're also going to be going to the ICP dashboard and kind of seeing what's been happening recently with ICP, how that's been going, a lot of that type of good stuff. So anyway, we'll go ahead, we'll dive right on in, checking out the crypto bubbles first, because what we can see, obviously, a pretty mixed day in the market. I mean, it's technically green. A lot of this, I think, is due to Form and Crow just really kind of going quite nuts. Barachain and Story Protocol also doing pretty well. I think I'm going to create a video about Story Protocol here pretty soon. This is a pretty interesting crypto project. It's definitely caught my eye. And so I wanted to actually make a video about it, talking about it a little bit more. But we can see otherwise, a decent bit of red in the market. Obviously, kind of a couple crypto projects moving up very, very handily, kind of buoying the market overall. We still can see pretty green on the week. Pi kind of being the biggest one down on the weekly. Everything else looking relatively decent overall. And so obviously the month still very, very red. So we've got to work on kind of clawing back some of that stuff. Pi being the biggest gainer here and Crow being the other one as well. We have a couple others here and there, but it's primarily very, very red. So, and we can kind of see that out of everything. ICP actually only down 15% in the past month, which is not too bad. I think that's actually pretty decent overall. However, if we do look at the ICP chart here, we can see that, I mean, obviously price has not done particularly well. If we do actually take a quick look at the price range, and we go from the top that we saw here back in December all the way to the bottom, which is right about here, we could see a correction of almost 70%. So a very, very, very strong pullback. We are seeing numbers lower than what we were seeing even before the Trump pump. So this is something that obviously is not the best to see, but of course we have started to kind of level out. It does appear that we may have found that bottom. We're kind of starting to kind of bounce around and not really do a whole lot. RSI is starting to recover. We can see here RSI hitting oversold back here at the beginning of February, and then here again around the middle of March, kind of starting to see that we are climbing back up here though. So that's pretty good to see overall, I would say. But if we do look at the chart, we can see nothing really too special setting up here. Obviously, we're sitting about neutral on the RSI. If we look at the Bollinger Bands, we're kind of actually sitting towards the top of the Bollinger Bands. We've seen a little bit of a rally recently, basically since we did see that kind of Pico bottom on the 11th of March. It's kind of been a pretty decent run to the upside. Again, obviously, a couple red candles here and there, but it's been a pretty strong move back up. But if we look at the Bollinger Bands are still squeezing relatively tightly. Not a whole lot of price action going on here, and so I don't think we're really primed to see anything too wild happening out of ICP, at least anytime soon. But again, who knows? We can see, obviously the Bollinger Bands here are squeezing, starting to come down. We are getting very close towards the top of this Bollinger Band. So we'll have to kind of see what happens there. We'll also have to see how RSI reacts, just kind of given how ICP price moves as well. So that's kind of what we're seeing here on the chart. I think things are looking fairly decent overall. You can see I actually do have a Solana trade open. This was actually a voucher position. BTCC gave me a free $10 voucher. They do this now and again, just if you trade with them and you do that stuff. You can see up about 130% right now. It is 100x. They force you to take a 100x position, and you can only go long or short. Kind of interesting. You just kind of like pick whichever. I was picking Solana just because Solana did seem oversold. We've seen a really nice move to the upside, of course, since then. So obviously, $12, not going to be retiring anytime soon. But from a percentage perspective, it has moved fairly decently. I actually did clear all of my money out before going into this, just because I have maybe half a thought that maybe I'll try and do like a 0 to, I don't know, 0 to 10,000, 0 to 1,000, who knows? Just kind of trading competition to see if we can make that happen. Obviously, with 100x, we could see Solana kind of take a little bit of a rogue wick, and then obviously this voucher will be liquidated, and then maybe we'll have to wait until next time. But we'll have to see. We are seeing a decent bit of kind of bullish sentiment in the market overall, so we'll kind of see how that goes and see how that kind of plays out over the next several days to a week. But we have been doing very, very well trading here recently. Now that we've started to see the market turn around, actually playing both directions of the market. I did close a Solana long on where I trade on WEEX or WEEX. You can see here I did also take a 20x short on Fartcoin as well. Did relatively well on that as well. So you know, obviously things looking pretty decent there. I do have the trading or the links in the description to both BTCC as well as WEEX, including Phemex as well. We are doing that 10% bonus on first-time deposits if you sign up for BTCC, in addition to extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user, as well as no VPN or KYC. And then also on WEEX, I think 20 to 30,000 in trading bonuses, a lot of that type of stuff. All the links are in the description if you are interested. Obviously, you know, you do need to be pretty, I would say advanced, at least intermediate, probably more like advanced in crypto if you are looking to trade, just because leverage trading can be pretty tricky and you need to know what you're doing. So just be very, very careful if you decide that that's something that you want to get into. Now, moving on, I want to kind of get to the news of the day here, which is top 7 ICO. This is Crypto News and Analytics. We can see has 144,000 followers. You know, pretty decent sized account here. We can see that top blockchains by the number of transactions in the last 7 days is topped by ICP. We'll actually pull this up so we can see it a little bit bigger. It's topped by ICP with 2.34 billion. Hyperliquid being next. Again, keep in mind, Hyperliquid is an on-chain perps platform, right? So, I mean, the fact that ICP is doing more than like an on-chain, like high volume trading app, pretty impressive, right? And then obviously we could see a massive fall off down to Solana here, down at 391 million. And we could see here TRX 60 million, base 53, near 42, all the way back down to where we see Say kind of in the 7th place with 27.8 million. This is kind of an interesting thing because you can't really see because it's actually let me remove my face, but you can see here the fully diluted market cap of ICP is 2.93 billion. They did 2.34 billion. So there's almost $1 per transaction in terms of market cap here, which is pretty impressive. If you look here, I mean, we're looking at almost what is this, $10 per transaction, so almost 10x more for Hyperliquid. We look at this, I don't even know this off the top of my head, but this has probably got to be like $30-ish, if not more. I don't know. I'll let you guys do the quick math on that. But you can see, you know, it kind of goes and gets more and more expensive as you go down the chain. So it is kind of crazy to see this. And then you look at something like BNB, you know, 84 billion for 30 million daily transactions. Now, of course, chains aren't completely dictated, by their market cap to transactions. I just thought that this spread was pretty wild, and it's really interesting to me that ICP is almost doing as many transactions per day as like dollars they have in their market cap. I think that's pretty crazy, especially when we look at some of the competitors here. So we'll just kind of have to track that, see how that goes. I think overall it's very, very interesting to see just how much volume and how much throughput ICP does without getting too much respect for it. You know, I think there's obviously various reasons as to why this could be, but it's very interesting to me that just kind of how this all ends up working out. I do feel like ICP is underappreciated. If we go back and we do look at the ICP dashboard here, we can kind of see, at least in my opinion, the fundamental data is here, and it's making sense. ICP is growing. If we look here, it's doing about 4,300 transactions per second. The 90-day peak is almost 13,000. You can see it in the small text right here. Might be a little bit small to see on the screen, but it's 12,728.87 transactions. But we can see here, you know, everything is looking good. You know, charts are looking very nicely. Internet identities continue to rise. If we go and kind of load this up over the past year, we can see over the past year, started at 2.3, we're at 2.7. So that's about 400,000, about a 15% year over year growth. Pretty great, not amazing, but that is definitely pretty great. If we look here at the total burn, this is where things look really, really impressive. I mean, we can see this, looking almost like a J curve. And then if we see here at the cycle burn rate, this actually has in fact come down a little bit. We were kind of trending up all until about, the middle of January. Since then, we have been trending down. I don't think this is necessarily like the end of the world, just because, I mean, the crypto market has pretty much been down only and pretty bad since the middle of January. So the fact that cycle burn rate has come down, I don't necessarily think it's the end of the world, but we do need to see this kind of trending up over a longer period of time, just because if we don't see that, ICP is going to continue to be inflationary, which of course is never good for price. So just something that we need to think about there. But otherwise we could see, all the various different kind of stats and things that we can see here on ICP. In my opinion, the big ones here: cycle burn rate, total burned, transactions per second is another big one. Canisters is also a big one too. If we look over the past year, about 400,000, we're sitting about 900,000, over 2x within the past year. Another really, really great stat here. Transactions per second kind of staying fairly stagnant. We can see obviously spikes here and there, but things staying fairly stagnant over time. We haven't really seen kind of a trend up on transactions per second. I think this is probably because, not because this is a cap of ICP, this is just probably there's not that many transactions to actually do. So as the ICP network continues to grow, we should see that continue to trend up. At least that's kind of what I'm thinking in my mind, just kind of based on what we're looking at. Overall, I do think that kind of ICP is a very, very strong value play. I think a lot of what they're doing right now with focusing on the Oizy wallet, with focusing on Caffeine AI, a lot of these different types of apps going more of an app first approach, I do think this makes a bunch of sense. And so I'm very interested to kind of see how this ends up working out. Hopefully it goes well. I'm very hopeful. I do think ICP price is a very, very, is very low at this point, depending on what happens in the macro environment. Even though, fundamentally, we could say that ICP is the best coin in the world right now, but ultimately it just doesn't really matter. We need to wait and see to, kind of what the macro environment does. Overall, I think it's fair to say that from a value perspective, if we kind of harken back to Warren Buffett and value investing and how to find deeply discounted companies that are kind of punching above their weight and a lot of that type of stuff, in my mind, ICP seems to fit a lot of those types of metrics. But again, that's not an excuse for bad macro, right? I mean, if the macro environment is bad, you're still going to see, all coins sell off. And so something especially that has performed relatively weakly in terms of price action like ICP, that's obviously going to more negatively impact something like that than some of the others. And so it is possible that, maybe we continue to see a further fall from ICP. It does, at least so far, appear to look like we have bottomed. But again, we just never know for sure. So that's something that, we always have to keep in the back of our mind, making sure that, we're always ready for a potential next dip. Obviously, we'd love to see that not happen, but anything is possible. So you just have to kind of always be ready for that. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really help. Also, I do actually have that private community. I have started that here on Discord. I know a lot of you ICP fans are wanting me to create something in open chat. I am working toward that. I've just been, fairly busy recently. To be honest, I just happen to know Discord a lot better than something like open chat and how to get it set up, all that type of stuff. So yes, I know it is an excuse, but I will get it set up eventually at some point. I've just been using Discord for a very long time, so I know very well how to use that and navigate it, all that type of good stuff. But like I said, if you're interested, feel free to sign up, join. It's private community, basically meant to just talk about random stuff, build community, talk about what we're seeing in the market, get some more recent updates or immediate updates as things happen, kind of right then in the market. Obviously, I do try to make my YouTube videos as quickly as possible, but I just can't always get them, turned around in the same time that I can write out a quick little message. So if you're interested, check that out as well. Also, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section as well. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to, or a great place to put those. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.